We're really doing it though, aren't we, buddy?
Yeah.
Welcome back to Banging the Can, the Houston sports show that does not apologize for championship rings and tings, presented by Bolen Media. I am Ross Bolen, and all I can say is...
Hey, anybody excited about that one? Yeah! Oh, man. I'm fired up, man. Outstanding job by you guys, man.
That was one of the best and most satisfying wins I have seen as a Houston Texans fan, considering the stakes. They kept putting it up on the TV with a graphic or whatever that if we win this game, we have like a 45% chance of making the playoffs. If we lose, it's lower than a 25% chance. No starting quarterback. No CJ Stroud. No starting running back. No Joe Mixon. No matter. The Texans dominated them boys. That was a fucking beating, even if the scoreboard didn't really show it and I was sweating my tits off for the final 8 minutes of the fourth quarter. My experience as a Texans fan dictates that if we have a one-score lead with the clock winding down against a veteran quarterback, then we are absolutely, without a doubt, 100% losing the game. But that didn't happen. It didn't happen. We won, in large part because this defense is different. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the subscribe button, turn on notifications so you know every time we drop a new episode immediately. Throw us a like on this video and leave a comment in the comment section when one occurs to you over the course of today's show. So this game against the Bills isn't even close without the kickoff return for a touchdown, which was a bummer and which was by and large a fluke. And then the pick six that's called back because of a block in the back that initially the broadcast didn't really do a good job of showing, but was pretty clear-cut. Without those two scores, this is a beatdown. A beatdown. And it should go without saying that we have to discuss this defense first. This is a championship caliber defense. I don't think it can be argued anymore. 8 sacks. 12 QB hits, 11 tackles for loss, 2 interceptions, 1 fumble forced, 1 fumble recovered. Will Anderson Jr., freak show, beast mode. Every game, this dude, you can count on him. 2.5 sacks for 32 yards lost. And one of those sacks, he ran like 30 yards himself. He was down on the ground at one point, got back up, still chased Josh Allen down for a sack. Safety, Kalen Bullock, with 2 picks and a forced fumble. That kid is a freak. Kamari Lassiter, 5 solo tackles, 1 pass defensed. Derek Stingley Jr. didn't really even have to do much this game. Danielle Hunter with 2 sacks for 15 yards lost. Azeez Al-Shaair with 4 solo tackles, 3 assisted. The defense is incredible. We've said it over and over all season long, but this was far and away their most impressive performance when we needed it most. What Demeco Ryans has done with this defense to have them looking more and more dangerous week after week is incredibly impressive. You can't say enough about it. Josh Allen was sacked 8 times. 8 times for the first time in his career. And don't discount the secondary blanketing Bills receivers so that Josh Allen had nowhere to go with the football, which played an enormous role in several of these sacks. You could almost call them coverage sacks if you wanted to. It was inspiring. It was inspired play. And what I've said basically all season long is that win or lose, I just want to see fight. I just want to see the energy. I just want to see heart. And without a doubt, this was the most impressive game on those terms for the Texans all season. Because you had to have this one. This stretch, this 3-week stretch of the schedule, including the Bills game, is arguably our most difficult of the entire season. You've had CJ Stroud, your starting quarterback, out for 3 consecutive games in concussion protocol. You're rolling Davis the Neck Mills out there, Davis Money Mills. And you had to have it at home on national TV, on freaking Amazon Prime Thursday Night Football. You had to have the win, and they went and got it, in large part due to what is, without a doubt, the best defense this Texans franchise has ever had. And for a franchise that's never really had that much to hang their hat on offensively, you know, even back in the day when Schaub and Andre Johnson and Arian Foster were firing on all cylinders, and then later DeAndre Hopkins, like, the defense has sort of always been the identity of this Texans team, right? Bulls on parade, right? J.J. Watt, right? Like defense is always Demeco Ryans, obviously. Like you know, you go down the list of sort of legendary Texans defensive players that have always sort of been the identity of this team, of this franchise, of what we enjoyed most as fans, because we've always had so many issues in the quarterback department. Defense was always where we kind of had to hang our hats. And this defense that Demeco Ryans has built, and the way he's got these guys playing, and the personnel that he filled out the roster with defensively, I'm in awe of what they have been able to do. They're single-handedly keeping this season alive week after week, single-handedly keeping us in every game week after week after week, even as the offense continues to struggle. To get us back to 500 after starting 0-3, now getting us over 500 to what are we, 6-5, is an unbelievable achievement. This defense, you can't say enough. The only blight on this defensive performance was the Bills converting that 4th and 27 in the fourth quarter with the game on the line, which almost had me shitting my pants. I still can't believe that happened. I just watched the highlights again before recording, and oh my God, I still felt like the anxiety in the pit of my stomach watching the replay of that play. 4th and 27 and you let them convert with the game on the line absolutely cannot happen ever again. Please, God, tell me they learned something from watching that tape next week in practice, because I don't know what you're supposed to do there. They had everybody lined up back on the first down marker, obviously, to try and avoid allowing the Bills to convert a first down there. The game is over if you don't allow them to get 27 yards, and they run this insane play with the lateral that throws the defense off completely, and suddenly it felt like, oh, this is going to be the same old Texans. We're going to blow this thing, especially after how conservatively the play calling was offensively in the fourth quarter. It looked like a nightmare coming to fruition, becoming a reality. So that was the only play that you're like, oh, okay, that clearly wasn't good enough defensively, but that was kind of it, man. That was kind of it. The defense was insane. They were all over this motherfucker. The defensive line dominated the Bills' offensive line. Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson Jr. on the corners. I don't know what any team is supposed to do about that. They're just so good. They're so strong. They're so fast. They play so well together. Nobody gives up on the play. Everybody's nonstop hustle, 24/7, 365. It is truly the swarm that we have been told about for 3 consecutive seasons now. It's real. It's real. As silly and cliche as it can feel at times, that's it. They swarmed the whole game. 8 sacks, dude. 3 turnovers. Unbelievable stuff from the defense. And to turn to the offense a little bit here. The offensive line did not give up a single sack, and that needs to be noted near the top of the freaking bulletin board. Did not give up a single sack to the Bills defense. Kept Davis Mills comfortable in the pocket all game long. But when you mention that the offensive line did not give up a sack, you also have to mention that Davis Mills did not take a sack. And that's a huge differentiating factor between Davis Mills and CJ Stroud this season. That is clear as day if you're willing to admit it to yourself. CJ has a real problem with taking sacks. He simply does not know how to handle himself when the pocket begins to collapse. He backs up too much. He retreats too much. He never moves forward into the pocket, or rarely, I should say. I shouldn't speak in absolutes. I have a problem with that, so my therapist and wife tell me. But the point is, Davis gets rid of the ball as quickly as he can pretty much every single play. He goes through his progressions incredibly quickly. He is not that accurate. He's not. Davis Mills is not that accurate. He is not as skilled as C.J. Stroud. C.J. Stroud is a much more athletic, much more highly skilled quarterback. There is no doubt about that. But Davis Mills is a much more professional, much more seasoned NFL quarterback who knows what to do with the system that is given to him. He knows how to avoid a sack. He knows how to help his offensive line by getting rid of the football quickly, even if that means throwing a dog shit pass and missing the receiver by 10 yards or throwing it out of bounds. And sometimes that's all you need to do. And as was mentioned repeatedly in the postgame by Davis Mills, when you have a defense that's this good, that's this caliber, your number one goal is to take care of the football, not turn it over. Don't do any damage to your defense. don't do the other team any favors as a quarterback. Keep your team in the game and keep the sacks to a minimum and keep the turnovers to a minimum. And you've got a shot to win every single week if you're the quarterback of the Houston Texans right now. And that's where CJ had so much trouble over the first several games of the season before he got hurt. So the offensive line didn't give up a sack, but Davis Mills needs to be given a lot of credit there too, because Davis Mills didn't take a sack. Didn't make it easy for the defense to get a sack because he got rid of the football as quickly as he could, and when plays didn't develop the way that he wanted them to, he threw it out of bounds or he threw it into the fucking ground. That's what you have to do. Nick Caley, offensive coordinator. The first half, it looked like things were going a lot better. Now, admittedly, again, Davis Mills was having a really hard time completing passes. I think he didn't complete his second pass until the second quarter, which is not ideal. It's not ideal. He was pretty inaccurate. All right, he had trouble connecting with his receivers. A few of those passes, it looked like maybe it was the receivers who got mixed up, not necessarily Davis Mills, or there was some disconnect between what Mills thought they were running route-wise and what the receivers thought they were supposed to do route-wise. First half, I don't have a lot of complaints about Nick Caley. Okay, play calling didn't seem to be an issue. All right, but once they established a lead, and once things started to heat up in the second half, and it looked like the Texans actually had a shot to win this game, Nick Caley put the offense in maintenance mode. And it's a conflicting ideologies situation we're dealing with here, because on one hand, what I said earlier applies. When your defense is this good and you've got a lead, don't do anything to jeopardize that offensively. You don't want to do anything to jeopardize that offensively. So to a certain extent, you do kind of want to play it safe. But there's playing it safe, and then there's being too conservative, which is what it felt like the offense was in the second half. Like, fuck, man, you gotta keep the pressure on the Bills' defense. You can't just like spam halfback dive over and over. And it felt like Nick Caley kind of lost his way in the second half, or he got a little timid or a little too scared with the play calling. And I don't love that, and hopefully they can learn a little bit from it. We still got the win. It's a great game. I'm not trying to dogpile on Nick Caley, but let's be real. The offense and the offensive play calling remain the biggest issue this team has, okay? And that's with where we're at. That's with talking about the last few games, all of which have been wins. There's nothing really bad you can say about the defense at this point. The best defense in football. A Super Bowl-worthy defense, okay? You're not going to find many football guys who will disagree with that, or gals. People who know football, people who know ball, know this Texans defense is as legitimate as it gets. The offense is the issue, and I don't see a real talent problem on the offense. Everybody wanted to blame the offensive line, and I was one of them. For game after game after game at the beginning of the season, and so many games last season as well. We've had a lot of issues with the offensive line, but that has kind of come together. And we already touched on how the quarterbacks, whoever it may be, Davis Mills or CJ Stroud, need to do a better job of helping the offensive line out. Davis Mills has just happened to outperform CJ Stroud in that regard over the course of the 3 games that he's been at the helm. But the play calling has to get better. And Nick Caley has to stop playing scared. He has to stop calling the plays like he's just trying not to mess up, which is what it felt like in the second half. Like, go get some more, do your defense a favor and go get some more points. Have a little more faith in Davis Mills and CJ Stroud when he comes back, presumably next week against the Colts, to not make dumbass decisions and not turn the ball over and call plays that give you a chance to continue marching downfield. Even if it's in chunks, even if you want to balance the run game or whatever, fine. The run game has not been spectacular. They've had to rely on Woody Marks and Nick Chubb, and we let Dameon Pierce go this week, and Joe Mixon is God knows where. I'll get to that at the end of the show. But you got to do a better job with the offensive play calling. I'm sick of talking about it. It's getting really, really old. You're going to hear it on Houston Sports Radio all week. You're going to see it on social media all week. Nick Caley has to be better. So far, he remains not that guy, pal. It's not good enough. It's not worthy of the defense that Demeco Ryans has put on the field, the performance of the offense. And good enough to get the win? Sure, in the regular season, at home, against a Bills team that has historically struggled at NRG Stadium. But when playoffs come around, if we're lucky enough to get there, or if they earn it, I should say. At this point, I don't think luck has a whole lot to do with it. If they earn the playoffs, they earn the playoffs. They won't have lucked into it. They'll have fucking earned it. And when the playoffs come around, that's a different brand of football. You're playing only good teams at that point, only teams that have earned it. And your offense has got to be better than the Texans' offense has been. And in the second half especially, it was pathetic. It was too many 3-and-outs or just terrible drives and extremely conservative play calling that kept giving the Bills a chance to get back in it when it was completely unnecessary. Again, the scoreboard did not dictate how much the Texans dominated this football game, in large part because of what I'm saying now. Nick Caley calling scared. Okay? We have to talk about Davis Mills versus CJ Stroud. What I am noticing, because I last time we did a show last week, when I talked about, I said, I'm not willing to say we have a quarterback controversy, but if you're not willing to admit that one is potentially brewing, then you're sticking your head in the sand. So I didn't even say we had a quarterback controversy. I didn't say Davis Mills should start over CJ Stroud. I didn't say CJ Stroud is ass. I just said CJ has not looked like himself. He doesn't look confident. And that Davis Mills has much more poise, professional NFL QB poise. Davis Mills knows how to operate in the pocket better than CJ Stroud. Davis Mills is not as accurate as CJ Stroud. Davis Mills is not as athletic as CJ Stroud. These are the things I said. And if you go and watch the clip on Instagram or on TikTok at Banging the Can, what you will see, and if you go into the comments section, what you will see is hundreds and hundreds of Texans fans either calling me the dumbest person living, which doesn't make sense because I didn't even say we have a quarterback controversy. I just simply pointed to the facts. Or people being like, CJ's a pussy, CJ's done, which is also wrong. What I have gleaned from this is that Texans fans are clearly scared that CJ Stroud might not be the guy long term because of the way he has played this season, because in large part due to his body language, his inability to do his offensive line any favors, and just he has lacked leadership this season. And as I said in the clip, I like CJ. And it's clear he's going through something. And I'm not trying to say the guy is done or bury him, but you've seen the results with him out. That's 3 wins in a row. 3-0 Davis Mills is. 3-0 with your backup quarterback who can't even fucking throw that accurately? What does that tell you? At the end of the day, it's this. CJ Stroud has to be better. And Texans fans are starting to worry. And they're getting really defensive and crazy about the way they talk about CJ Stroud and the way they defend him and what they are willing to admit about him or not admit about him. And I just asked the question. I didn't state that we have a quarterback controversy or a problem here. I asked the question, and people lost their minds. Because what we know as Texans fans is that we desperately need a franchise quarterback. And we all hope CJ Stroud is that guy because we know Davis Mills is not. But Davis Mills is he plays better in the system. In this system, in Nick Caley's system, the way Davis Mills plays has been more productive than the way CJ plays. The play calling has been an issue for both quarterbacks, both Davis Mills and CJ Stroud. But what Davis Mills has exhibited in the 3 games as a starter is that he has the poise and the comfort and the confidence and the leadership abilities needed for this Texans team to win football games. And a lot of people saw that clip. It went up a few games ago, so it was the after the Jacksonville game is when that clip came out. So it wasn't even last week. It was the week before that. A lot of people saw that clip after the Titans game. And we're like, oh, dude, it's the Titans. What do you mean? How could you possibly talk about this? Let's talk after the Bills game. Well, now it's after the Bills game, and we won that one too. So let's just say this definitively. There is not a quarterback controversy for the Houston Texans, but there is a quarterback problem that needs to be solved. And my personal hope is that CJ Stroud looks at what happened on the field over these past 3 games, the way Davis Mills carried himself and the way Davis Mills executed without trying to do too much or get too cute, the way he avoided sacks, the way he did his offensive line favors, the way he remained poised in the pocket, and that CJ can learn from that and apply that to his game for the remainder of the season because Read my lips. There's no doubt CJ Stroud should be the starter when we play the Colts Sunday after next. No doubt. Is that clear enough? CJ Stroud should be the starter against the Colts. No doubt. If he is healthy, CJ Stroud should be the starter for the remainder of the season. No doubt. You've got a good backup quarterback in Davis Mills who can do enough, given how good your defense is. But you need a starting quarterback who can take this team to the next level and make them a true playoff threat. And we all thought CJ was that guy his first season. We all thought that guy was CJ his second season. It just wasn't quite as good as his first. And then this season has been kind of a mess. And if you can't admit that, or if you're only willing to blame the O-line and make the excuse, oh, well, the 3 games with Davis Mills, the O-line has played better, then you're just a CJ Stroud stan who doesn't want to admit that he has not been doing his job well enough. He hasn't. He's got to be better when he comes back, and he's got to learn from what Davis Mills showed over these last 3 games, because for the 14th time, the defense is good enough to win you any game. They will keep you in every fucking game. But you've got to do enough as a quarterback to help out your O-line and to do what you need to do offensively, to not turn the ball over, to not hang your head or look like you're about to cry or whatever. And people are like, oh, it's just resting CJ Stroud face. Then change your face, dude. Change your face. This is a team sport. Your attitude, your energy, as a quarterback, it's so important because it translates to the way the rest of your offense plays. You think the offensive line feels good seeing CJ mope the fuck around week after week after week? No, it doesn't help. Poise. How many times can I say it? That's what Davis has that CJ has not had this season. And yes, CJ is shell-shocked. Yes, it's not his fault necessarily. But it doesn't matter whose fucking fault it is at this point. There's a job to be done, and CJ Stroud is going to have to do it better than he did the however many games he played before getting concussed during this season. Okay? Upcoming schedule. We got the 8-2 Colts on the road next Sunday at noon. Not this upcoming Sunday. We just played. The Sunday after this upcoming Sunday. 8-2 Colts on the road. Enormous game. Another one that we will likely be in to the end because the defense is that good. No reason to believe that won't be the case. The offense has got to be better than they were against the Bills and the Titans and the Jags. Well, maybe not the Jags. That was a great game offensively. 36 points will probably get the job done. But the Colts put up points. The Colts score a lot. And we are going to need to be better offensively to outscore them and win the game. After the 8-2 Colts, we play the 5-5 Chiefs on the road the Sunday after that one at noon. The Chiefs haven't had their best season. Are the Chiefs falling off? I don't know. I don't care. I'm not here to talk about that. But that's another game that's a real test. The Chiefs on the road is a real test, even in a season where they are 500 currently before they play this upcoming Sunday or Monday, whenever they play this week. I can't remember. So that's 2 huge games. Huge games after a huge win. And then you've got a stretch of some very winnable football games. You got Arizona, you got Las Vegas, you got the Chargers, and then you close with Indy. So we're coming down the stretch here. And that's why the pressure is on. That's why the sense of urgency in my voice when I'm talking about Davis Mills and CJ Stroud and Nick Caley. Because the defense is there. It's fully formed. They can win. Those guys are fucking badasses. The offense still looks like a bunch of incompetent doofuses a lot of the time. Or like the play caller is terrified of making the wrong call. So you come on, man. Offense. Please, get the offense going. There's enough receivers. There's enough receivers between Nico and Higgins and Hutchinson and Noel. They got enough talented people who could catch the football. It's the play calling and the poise and skill of the quarterback. So that's it. It's as simple as that. My dad said CJ Stroud better play like Joe Montana against the Colts. And I have to agree. And it's hard not to think about, like, imagine how good this team would be with a competent offensive coordinator. It's a Super Bowl contender if Nick Caley rounds into form and stops calling plays like he's a scared little 8-year-old boy who accidentally got a lead in Madden against his 12-year-old older brother, and he doesn't want to blow it, so he's just spamming halfback dive. Facts. Joe Mixon, what the fuck is going on? It was reported yesterday before the game that he was definitely out for the season, that he wouldn't be playing anymore, and then Joe Mixon hopped on Twitter and said that wasn't true, but didn't give any detail or context to how or why that might not be true. What the hell? The Texans are kind of treating this Joe Mixon thing like the Astros treat all their injuries. They just want us to shut up and not ask questions as fans. They're not going to give us any explanation. I just don't understand, because if you've got Joe Mixon, just to do more ifs and buts, if you've got Joe Mixon, it takes a lot of pressure off C.J. Stroud. Takes a lot of pressure off Davis Mills over this 3 games. You know, no disrespect to Woody Marks. He's done phenomenally as the 1A guy, with Chubb being the 1B guy. But Joe Mixon is leaps and bounds better than both of those running backs, if healthy. And I don't know what the hell happened with his foot in the offseason, because nobody does. And I'm confused by the reporting around it and the lack of transparency from the Texans and the front office and the medical staff. And I can't believe no reporter has been able to dig into this and figure out what the fuck is going on with Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon doesn't seem to be willing to tell anyone what's going on either, other than to say that it's not true, that he's definitely out for the remainder of the season. So we'll have to wait and see, but it's another piece of the puzzle that's really not getting talked about enough. If Joe Mixon's healthy, this team is an AFC contender to make it to the AFC Championship at the very least. The shit is pretty wide open this year. There are not that many great teams. This is not 3 years ago when you definitely knew who you were going to see in the AFC Championship. You definitely knew you were going to have to go through the Chiefs. You were going to have to go through the Bills. You were going to have to go through the Ravens. Things have changed. Times have changed. It's a new era. And it feels like the era where this Houston Texans team should have been able to step up and make shit happen. But instead, Joe Mixon is gone. Instead, our rookie offensive coordinator is terrified, and C.J. Stroud misses 3 games with a concussion, and somehow we win all 3. It's just been a weird ride. And in closing, Demeco Ryans, I want to apologize for starting to doubt you over the course of the first 7-8 games of the season. Demeco is so good at his job. I think he's a great leader and a great head coach and has a great defensive mind, arguably genius level. What he's done with the defense, impeccable shit. If he's got a competent OC and he's got a healthy Joe Mixon and CJ Stroud doesn't look like he needs to go through sports therapy, he's where we wanted him to be. He's taken the franchise to where we wanted him to take it. Unfortunately, some of these other circumstances have dictated that things are a little bit more challenging for Demeco. But I should have never questioned whether or not he was the man for this job. I was wrong. I was scared. I was flustered. I was frustrated as a fan. And I apologize, because Demeco Ryans is that guy, pal. As much as Nick Caley isn't, Demeco is. We will see what happens over the next couple weeks with the Colts game and the Chiefs game and what Nick Caley is able to bring to the table with a healthy CJ Stroud back out there. But God damn it, it's also on CJ. And if you go and watch the clips from the locker room after the game, the team is so hyped. Demeco's so fired up. Everybody's on their feet. Everybody's clapping, cheering, hyping each other up. And then the camera pans over and CJ in his goofy fucking beanie is standing in the corner looking like his dog just died. And maybe it did. But that ain't going to get it done. He's got to bring the fight, the energy, the poise, and the leadership that we all know he's capable of because we've seen it. That's what makes it so frustrating. We've seen it. So if CJ Stroud can come out with his head screwed on properly, a good head on his shoulders, as skinny as his neck may be by comparison to Davis Mills, if CJ can come out and play the way we know he is capable of, and Nick Caley can keep himself from going into his fucking turtle shell and spamming halfback dive, then we've got a chance to save this season, to make the wild card, barring a miracle Colts meltdown that puts us in a position to win the division, which is very, 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 very unlikely, almost impossible. But if you can just get to the wild card, nobody is going to want to play this Texans team because of that defense specifically. And I mean nobody. Because if Josh Allen gets the shit kicked out of him the way he did last night, then there isn't a quarterback in this league that really single-handedly can kill you as a team in a single game. That's how good the defense is. That will do it for today's show. Remember, we have new episodes dropping weekly on youtube.com/@bangingthecan. Again, my schedule has been an absolute train wreck this last couple weeks. Usually we do 2 episodes a week, Monday and Friday. I'm doing what I can. Back on the grind as of this Friday. I'll be back on Monday to talk about Rockets. But if you're on YouTube, subscribe, like, turn on notifications. Leave me a comment. If it's about the quote-unquote quarterback controversy, fine. I'll continue arguing with you people. But it's not a controversy. It's not a controversy. It's a problem, but it's not a controversy. Share the most unapologetic Houston sports show in existence with your friends and family. A lot of you have Thanksgiving coming up this next week. You're going to see your friends and family. Tell them about Banging the Can. I'm trying to grow this thing. The more it grows, the more consistently I can put out episodes. I'll tell you that. But as I said last episode, I'm doing this for the love of the game. This is not big enough to be monetized yet. I'm not making any money off it. There's no ads on YouTube. There's no sponsors. It's just me. But if you tell people and it grows, then we can get to a place where it's an actual feasible part of my business and I can focus more energy and effort on it. So tell your friends and family. Follow us on social media at Banging the Can on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Threads. I'm Ross Bolen. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at WRBolen. I'll be back Monday to catch up on Rockets talk. Rockets have been cruising. So much fun to watch. If you're not tuning into Rockets games, what the hell is wrong with you? Watch it. One of the most fun Rockets teams we have ever had. Until next time, H-Town, stay down.